What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. Welcome to episode 2 of Baller Talk, where I'm hitting on everything relevant in the sports world. All right. The NFL Combine is going on in Indianapolis. It's leading to some juicy rumors. So we're going to be getting to that. You see the rundown. First off, why don't we talk about the players who are expected to be franchise tagged? Now, the deadline is Tuesday for teams to decide whether or not they're going to use the franchise tag or not. So the first player I'm hearing who could get the franchise tag is going to be Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh Jacobs had such a phenomenal season for the Raiders, led the NFL in rushing, 12 touchdowns, just a spectacular year. And when you watch him play, you see how talented he is, how physical Josh Jacobs is, getting yards after contact, just bulldozing linebackers and safety. Phenomenal talent. The Raiders, now here's the thing. They could have picked up Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option, but they declined to do that. And now paying the franchise tag, that's going to increase the dollar amount for the Raiders. So I thought that was interesting. Raiders can't let Josh Jacobs get away. All right, player number 2, who I'm hearing is due to get the franchise tag, and it's Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. He also had a strong year, another running back. But here's the thing, Pollard broke his leg in the playoffs. Yeah, he has a broken leg, kind of messed up his ankle. So, the franchise tag's a steep investment. It's only 1 year. But how's Tony Pollard going to hold up with that one? Jaron stopped by, said, yes, sir. What's up, Jaron? Thanks for stopping by. So we got Jacobs, Pollard. Okay, the next guy who I'm hearing, actually, this one sounds more like it's a fact. It's destined to happen, is the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise tagging Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, he was known as a bust when he was up in New York with the Giants, although we know he's a talented player. The dude's super fast. He's got really good acceleration. He's good after the catch is one thing I really like about Evan Ingram. So I could see why the Jaguars would tag him. They don't want him to get away. You want to keep that weapon for your young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who's really blossoming. And obviously they have Christian Kirk in the fold. And they're also going to be adding Calvin Ridley. Can't forget, they traded for Calvin Ridley mid-season. And he's going to be a good addition for that offense. Hey, if you're watching this, make sure you're liking the video. That way we get more people in here to slide through, get the comments up. So Evan Ingram, really good tight end. He might be a little overpaid at the franchise tag level, but hey, the Jags, they got some cap space to work with, so it makes sense. Now, the last player I'll touch on in the players expected to be tagged department, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. We know they've been working on a deal. They've been trying to get a long-term deal done, but for whatever reason, it's not done yet. And Tuesday's the deadline. So what I'm hearing, and this is per just NFL rumors on Twitter, if they can't get a deal done, then it's going to be the Giants are going to franchise tag him. Daniel Jones, what they need to do is they got to get him some weapons, though. Like, who was he throwing the ball to last year? It was like Kenny Golladay was making a lot of money. He didn't produce. Okay, Darius Slayton. I mean, that was their number one guy. He had a few good games. FG came by. What's up, FG? Appreciate it. But first and foremost, they got to get Daniel Jones some weapons. All right. Because, Kadarius Toney, they traded to the Chiefs. They invested I believe it was it a late first or a second round pick on Kadarius Toney, and then he ended up sending him off to win a championship with Mahomes, get a touchdown in the Super Bowl. But get Daniel Jones some weapons. I kind of like DJ. He showed me something. We obviously know Daboll is coaching over there. He also coached Josh Allen. Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. You could say like Daniel Jones is like dollar store Josh Allen, right? He's got the mobility. He's got some arm talent. He's not Josh Allen, but that's why he's dollar store Josh Allen. So that's what I'm hearing. If the Giants can't get a long-term deal done with Daniel Jones, they're going to slap the franchise tag on him, which I agree with. Moving on to the second topic here is NFL rumors. Okay. This is another thing that came out of Indianapolis. The Raiders are interested in Mac Jones. Mac Jones feels like everybody loves to hate Mac Jones. I think he gets a bad rap. I think he's a better quarterback than the vibe, the consensus that I feel, whether it's on Twitter or just the people who I talk to. Everybody seems kind of down on Mac Jones. Remember, he had a strong rookie year. He had a pretty good rookie year. Took a step back last year, definitely a sophomore slump. Now, how much of that is due to, Matt Patricia calling plays over there? I wouldn't say that's ideal. Then you want to look at his weapons. Like who were Mac Jones' weapons? He didn't have a bunch of all-pro guys to throw the ball to. He didn't have any all-pro guys to throw the ball to. Jacoby Myers, he's pretty good. He's a free agent too. Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne. So I think Mac Jones gets a bad rap. I think he's a better quarterback than probably most other people. I haven't given up on Mac Jones. And maybe if he did go to the Raiders, as this rumor is assuming, linking back up with Josh McDaniels, I think it'd be a pretty good move on the Raiders' part. Mac's still on his rookie deal. You got Devontae in place. He's got a great weapon. You got Darren Waller there. Let me know what you guys think. Mac Jones to the Raiders. You like it. Now, the Raiders are sniffing around a couple other quarterbacks. That's also part of this rumor. One of them being Jimmy Garoppolo. We know, same thing. He was with Josh McDaniels in New England. Let me tell you, they'll regret it. They'll regret it. If they go after Jimmy, if they got him circled, their highlighters all over him, and they pay him, $30 million? Seems to be on the lower end for a starting quarterback. If they pay $30 million for Jimmy G, I think they're going to regret it. Okay. Now here's the other player that I'm seeing linked to the Raiders, the other quarterback. And it's that guy who nobody really seems to like. He's been playing in Green Bay. He's turning off the lights. He's going dark. Aaron Rodgers. If I was a Raiders, that's the guy I'm going after. It sounds like A-Rod and the GM, Gutekunst, their time is up. That's the vibe I'm getting. Remember, Gutekunst is the guy who drafted Jordan Love. Okay? In my opinion, it was a terrible pick. It was a wasted pick. You had A-Rod in his prime, and you took a spent your first round pick on a quarterback. I think it was terrible. But that's neither here nor there. It's done. So Gutekunst should, if I was him, I'd want to see my first round pick play too, right? I will say A-Rod, it seemed like last year he didn't want to get hit, it felt like. He's just getting the ball out so quick. Obviously he's missing Devontae, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson started stepping up at the end of the season with some big splash plays. Christian Watson does look explosive. I know a lot of Niners fans were enamored with him last year around this time in the draft process. So if I was the Raiders, I'd probably send out a feeler for Mac Jones. I don't expect the Patriots to move Mac, but I'm really going after A-Rod. That's the guy. Link them back up. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers. I think that could be big time. And that could potentially, dare I say, compete with the Chiefs in the AFC West. I think so. All right, let's go on to the next rumor. Khalil Mack is expected to be traded or released. Chargers up against the cap, looking to move Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, he's just a really good player. He's been a really good player for a long time. Now he's in his 30s. So this is typically an age where maybe you see some tapering off in his play. But Khalil Mack's really good. Always been a really good run defender too. Like he'll get after the quarterback, but he's also a really good run defender. That's what I admire about Khalil Mack. And as a Niners fan, you see the logo back here. I don't think the Niners could make it happen. I don't think we could take on the cap, or at least if they did, they'd have to move a lot of money back into future years. I don't think the Niners could do it with Khalil Mack. Now, for Joey Bosa, I might make some exceptions. I might push some money back if that means bringing Joey Bosa on. Which Nick Bosa actually talked about recently. Who was he with? I saw a clip, but he was just excited at the thought of potentially playing with his brother. More rumors. DeAndre Hopkins expected to be traded. Okay. This is per NFL rumors on Twitter. And he threw out a couple teams who could be in the running. And that would be the Giants. We talked about the Giants are deficient at wide receiver. They need to get Daniel Jones some help. Well, hey, one way to do it is go get D-Hop. Right? Same thing. He's at that age, though. Is his play kind of tapering off? I think so. Still a good player. But the Giants, the Patriots, we talked about them with Mac Jones. So this is two teams I've already mentioned that have deficiencies at the wide receiver position being linked to DeAndre Hopkins. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, which if that happened, that would be not good. Pairing Hopkins with Mahomes. I don't need to explain that one to you. I mean, Mahomes made whoever's lining up. He made some dude Justin Watson, look like a big play threat throughout the season. And it's like, who the heck's that guy? Okay. Last of the NFL rumors before we talk some 49ers news. Per Jeremy Fowler, Derek Carr's top option is the Jets in free agency. Sounds like that's where Carr's gravitated to. Let's see, do I got any more notes on that one? Okay, yeah. Carr's also been linked to the Panthers and the Saints, but apparently his top team is the Jets. Makes sense. Robert Saleh, they tried to make it work with my boy Zach Wilson. It hasn't worked. All right, Zach, he's been a disappointment. Disappointed me because I had high hopes for the kid. Just makes too many boneheaded plays. Doesn't look like he's making the reads just quite quick enough. Seeing things a step late. He's throwing into double coverage. He's making head-scratching interceptions. So Saleh, and he's getting on the hot seat. Saleh's seat is warm. He had to fire his buddy, his offensive coordinator, right, that he brought with him from San Francisco. Was it a LaFleur? Might have been a LaFleur. But he had to fire his OC because, You need to see some changes. Ownerships, they're not patient. So Saleh said, okay, the offense wasn't cutting it. We got to move on. That's right. Thanks for coming by, Jaron. So if I was the Jets, Derek Carr, it's a good option. Again, I'm looking at A-Rod, though. We know A-Rod and the Packers, there's something there. I'm sensing a breakup. So the Raiders should be pursuing A-Rod as well as the Jets. Both those teams should be making strong pushes for Aaron Rodgers because both those teams have really good rosters. You want to look at the Jets, right? Obviously, you got Garrett Wilson. Denzel Mims started playing a little bit. Corey Davis. Corey Davis, I'm hearing he actually might be a cut candidate, but he's there. Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. I think Elijah Moore is a really talented wide receiver. So A-Rod would have some options, or Derek Carr. You got some wide receiver threats over there with the New York Jets. Okay, let's get to some Niner news. And this is per Adam Schefter. He said Robbie Gould will test free agency and be kicking elsewhere. Now, that was a tough pill to swallow. And we know Robbie Gould's done this dance with us previously. For whatever reason, I don't think he likes the West Coast. We know his family's in Chicago. So it sounds like Robbie Gould's ready to move on. And that's coming out of his mouth. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if many people have been talking about it, but there's a little thing in the NFL that's called the franchise tag. And I believe the Niners franchise tagged Robbie Gould like 4 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. I know I got a lot of Niners fans in the chat, but I believe Robbie Gould was franchise tagged about 4 years ago. Would the Niners consider doing it again against his wishes? I guarantee you, Robbie Gould does not want to be franchise tagged. But does Kyle Shanahan say, hey, we need a kicker? And franchise tag pays you handsomely for that 1 year. So it'll be interesting if the Niners want to go down that rabbit hole, if they want to play that game. A lot of times you don't want to set a bad precedent. You don't want to be, it's kind of frowned upon. If a player wants to leave, especially when he's a free agent, not if you're under contract, I understand. Then I'm like, no, I'm not trading you if you ask for a trade. You're under contract. But in this case, Robbie Gould is a free agent. Do you want to keep him against his wishes and slap the tag on him? I don't think the Niners are going to do it. Let me see. Mark says, need a younger kicker. Thank you, Robbie. Mark's right. Robbie's been a really good kicker for us. He's been money inside 50 yards. So absolutely. Thank you, Robbie Gould. It's just kicking was something the Niners didn't have to worry about. And a lot of teams, as we see it across the league, they're rotating kickers. Sometimes they get 2-3 kickers in one season just because dudes are missing kicks. So it'll be interesting to see which route the Niners go. Are they going to draft a kicker? I know I want to say I was looking at PFF's rankings. Their top kicker is a kid out of Michigan. Was it Moody? I was looking at it earlier today. I want to say it was a last name Moody. Now I gotta check it. I can't give you guys bad information. Yeah, Jake Moody. Sounds like he's the top kicker coming to the NFL draft. Would the Niners want to go down that rabbit hole? Yeah, Beto already knows. Said Jake Moody from Michigan. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing is the top kicker. Now, I don't want to take no kicker before round 5. I'll say round 5 is probably the earliest, unless it was like some Sebastian Janikowski type stuff. Then okay, you go up and get a kicker. I don't think Jake Moody's this guy. So I'm going to say maybe round 5, you try to target a kicker, or you get a veteran in free agency. I want to say Matt Prater's a free agent. He's got a boot. He's been kicking for a long time. Might be somebody I'm interested in. But I want someone who could hit me something like 50 plus, like 55, 60. It feels like a lot of kickers nowadays are hitting, 60, 61, at least giving their team a chance to score points before half. Hey, if you're in here, hit that like button so more people find this and we get this chat active. Let me know your thoughts. Moving on to the next bit of 49er news, and this is per Albert Breer. The 49ers could be interested in Baker Mayfield. Let me tell you something. You may or may not know this, but I always like me some Baker Mayfield. I know it was ugly with the Panthers, and that's why you might be able to get him for super cheap. And yes, I would be interested. And it's mostly because the more I'm hearing just about Brock Purdy's injury, kind of the more I'm concerned, right? We saw the John Lynch press conference at the combine when it's like, well, it's not your normal Tommy John injury, right? Because the baseball, it's just different. How it happened on the football field compared to the typical baseball, it's different. We don't know how this is exactly going to, because originally I was of the mindset a couple weeks ago, fellas, the Niners were cool with just Purdy and Trey Lance. Like, you got the two young bucks. I like them both. But now, just with the uncertainty of Brock Purdy, and then to a certain extent, Trey Lance, I feel like Lance's ankle should heal. It's bone. You feel like if it's just a bone injury and it's not like ligaments and tendons, and you feel like the bone's going to heal and he's going to be right. So I feel good about that. But if you can get Baker Mayfield for cheap and he's okay with knowing, like, hey, you're not the guy, you're the number 2, or you're going to compete. And because I feel like he could potentially kind of be a downer in the locker room if he doesn't get the start. I could be wrong. I don't want to speak bad about the guy, but I know some teammates have thought negatively of him in the past. That being said, I think Baker's really talented. I think he's got a rifle. Dude's got a cannon. So pairing him with Shanahan, he also got a kind of taste of the offense last year with the Rams, right? We know McVay, Shanahan, there's a connection there, and their offenses have some similarities. They're very different, but they got some similarities. How they're under center, the play action game. There's probably some verbiage that transfers over between the Rams offense and the Niners offense. So I kind of like it. I would be interested in Baker Mayfield if he's cheap. Now, the other thing you hear is, Niners should be in on a Marcus Mariota, or I think Ryan Tannehill's still under contract, but I think people were just maybe expecting him to get cut. That's why you heard a lot of speculation about, should the Niners go after Tannehill? No, I don't want to spend money at the quarterback position for a third guy. I'm thinking it's for a third guy, right? You got Lance, you got Purdy. Hopefully the Purdy injury heals quickly. We just don't know. I feel like it's a big question mark. If Jacoby Brissett looked better than Deshaun Watson last year. Like, he's borderline starter. So I don't think Brissett's an option. Andy Dalton, same thing. I think he's kind of priced himself out. He wasn't bad last year for the Saints. So I think Baker Mayfield could be a really good cheap option. Ooh, he's got upside. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he had a nice year in Cleveland a few years ago. So let's move on to the last bit of 49ers news I got. If you guys got some news in the chat, drop it in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Mark said, hopefully we'll be scoring more TDs and field goals. That's facts. But we know Shanahan gets kind of conservative sometimes. and he'll just settle for 3. We've seen it all too often. Jaron says, trade day or Purdy time. Don't know what's going to happen, but excited for next season. No doubt, Jaron. Say, I'll support whoever's on the field. And I think both of them have some talent. Right? Well, quarterback position could be a strength. Could be a big strength because you could have a really good number 1 and a really good number 2 when you're talking Purdy Lance. And that's why I think you, with that young quarterback room with those two, I think you want to bring a veteran. I know there's a lot of speculation. Are the Niners going to draft a quarterback? It doesn't hurt to take some swings because if you get a guy similar to what you did with Purdy who is just looks the part and then go for it. But I also think a veteran in that room could be a good thing. But the last bit of 49er news, per Jeremy Fowler, Samson Ebukam could earn a $10+ million contract. That's annually. So 2 years for 20 or 3 years for 30 mil. It's a lot of cash. And Ebukam, I thought he had a good year. He's good versus the run. I think he's okay as a pass rusher. Honestly, I want to upgrade, fellas. I've talked about it before. The offseason is about looking at your roster, looking about your team, and trying to upgrade it wherever you can. You're trying to find upgrades. And I'm looking for an upgrade opposite Bosa. Ebukam was good. He's pretty good. I want someone better. 10+ mil. It might be a little rich. It feels a little rich for my blood. So I do have one player. You're saying, okay, Baller, you don't want Ebukam. Who do you want? I'm looking at Yannick Ngakoue, and I've always liked him. We know he's bounced around now. He was with the Ravens, started his career with the Ravens. The guy's good for like between 8 and 12 sacks every year. The guy can flat out get after the quarterback. We saw it in Baltimore. This past season, he was with the Colts. He was with the Vikings for a second, spent a season with the Raiders. Okay, that was last year. But Yannick Ngakoue can flat out get after the quarterback. Now, he's not very good versus the run. I'll be the first to admit it. And that's why maybe you can get him for a little bit cheaper than what's expected because he hasn't been good versus the run for a few years now. He's got a pass rusher's mindset. Well, what do they tell you about how the Niners coach the D-line? They say you go, I forget the Coach Surrey quote, but you go after the quarterback, you play the run on the way to the quarterback. There it is. You play the run on the way to the quarterback. So they're of the mindset that these DNs should be flying at the QB anyway. So that's where I think it could be just a really good fit with Yannick and the 49ers defense stylistically. I'm looking for that Leo, that speed rusher off the edge to pair with Bosa. Bosa's got all the moves, right? He can win with power. He can win with speed. He can win with like shifty. He'll threaten outside, and then he's stunting inside. I think Ngakoue would be a really good pairing with Nick Bosa. So that's where if you let Ebukam go, you're going to need somebody off that edge. Is it going to be Charles Omenihu coming back? I'm looking at Omenihu saying, I think he was the second best defensive lineman last season. For the Niners, that is obviously. After Bosa, Armstead missed a chunk of the year. Kinlaw was a disappointment. Ebukam was pretty good. But I thought Omenihu had a really good year in a free agent year. So I'm wondering, where's Omenihu going to fall? Did he price himself out of the Niners? Because if I'm the Niners, I want to keep Charles Omenihu. Jordan Willis is a guy I think the Niners can bring back for relatively cheap. At least I hope. think Jordan Willis has some juice off the edge. Okay. That's all I got for 49ers news. Now, I want to hit on some NBA talk. All right. Hear me out. And then I might take some callers. Okay. I'll drop the link in the chat. If you guys want, hop in. We'll talk some ball. Okay. But I want to talk some NBA. And the first bit of news was about Brandon Clark, torn Achilles. And I just want to say that stinks. Right. It sucks. Brandon Clark, I like watching Brandon Clark play ball. He's an undersized power forward. He's an undersized big, but he's a really good player. Plays with such a high motor. He's a high flyer. Some spectacular dunks from Brandon Clark, the Gonzaga product. So it sucks. I know the Warriors and the Grizzlies, they got this budding rivalry, right? But even then, man, you don't want to see Brandon Clark go down with an injury. So I hope he heals up, and I want to say he comes back stronger than ever, but that's a tough injury, torn Achilles. We'll stick with the Grizzlies. The Ja Morant news. Let's touch on that for a second. He's suspended 2 games. He released a statement. You can read it on your own if you want. Flashing a gun in a club on video. It's not a good look. Now, the Grizzlies, to me, they got to prove it. They're a talented team. They were talking a big game early on in the season. They got to prove it to me. Desmond Bane's a good shooter. That's probably they don't got much shooting. It's like Desmond Bane. That's their 3-point specialist. Okay. Jaren Jackson, he's kind of streaky, But Ja Morant, spectacular player, but he's got to get it figured out, man. Next talk. I watched the Suns. I got my first look at the Kevin Durant Phoenix Suns. They were playing early this morning against the Dallas Mavericks. It was a really good game. Came down to the wire. Luka had a chance to tie it, in the final seconds. Missed the little bunny. He missed the little bunny, and then Devin Booker started chirping at him, and Doncic and Booker went nose to nose. I like Doncic. I like Doncic to win that one. Kid Trickster said D-Book's a joke. D-Book feels like he's been getting into it everybody this year, right? Him and Clay and Clay's relatively level-headed. Like Clay doesn't get into it with too many people, but he got into it with Book a big time early on in the season. MF, we might be mixing in some Giants talk. Baseball, that's what I grew up playing. Baseball is my background, but basketball was always my passion. And then football is just the most fun sport to watch. Like I just get juiced up to watch some football. But I watch all 3 of the big American sports. We might be talking some Giants baseball. What do you think of D-Book talking smack with KD carrying him after Luka embarrassed him last year at his own house? That's true. That was an upset. How the Mavericks were able to beat the Suns in Phoenix, Game 7. Big time upset. But I wouldn't say KD carried him today. Like they both were really good. I want to say KD had 40-something and D-Book was like right there. Like both of those guys were spectacular. But when I'm watching the Suns, their depth, I don't know about their depth, man. Okogie was 0 for 8 from 3, so it might be like you don't need to guard him. Torrey Craig, that might be their best bet. That might be their best bet for like their 5th man. But their depth ain't looking so hot. So while the Suns, I think they're legit championship contenders, but the depth is a big question mark. Campaign, feel like is streaky, the little left-handed jumper. just plays kind of erratic sometimes. We're talking Cameron Payne. Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul didn't even have to score today. It was just the Durant and the Booker show. DeAndre Ayton really was relatively quiet too. And I think we all know DeAndre he's a talented big. So if I'm stacking up the West, the Nuggets and the Suns, what are the standings? I got the standings right here. Okay. I think the Nuggets and the Suns are kind of probably the top two in terms of championship contention. And I'm putting the Warriors like right after, like right in there. Right in there. Probably like the third team, but I don't think their odds are so much worse than the Nuggets or the Suns. That's where I got the Warriors. And I know someone out there in the chat's thinking like, wow, man, what about the Kings, man? So you're showing Sacktown no love. Yeah, they got to prove it to me. They're having a good year. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. But they got to prove it to me. I'm not fully buying in. I know De'Aaron Fox is playing really well. Sabonis, the rookie Keegan, he's a good player. Malik Monk he's a scorer. Malik Monk, he's the player that I think everyone expected him to be coming out of Kentucky, just this vacuum scorer. Malik Monk, he's providing that now for Sacramento, but they got to prove it to me. Who else? And then the Grizzlies are right there. Grizzlies are in that probably like fourth, fifth, them and the Kings. And the Clippers, man. Clippers struggling since the acquisition of Russell Westbrook. Struggling. That being said, Kawhi Leonard's so freaking good. Kawhi Leonard's so good. Warriors just handled him without Steph and without Andrew Wiggins. So that's why now they got me tepid. Like I was higher on the Clippers a week ago, but maybe I'm letting one game sway me too much, but the Warriors just handled them. Paul George was invisible, and I feel like Paul George hasn't showed up for the playoffs since he was an Indiana Pacer. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Lastly, we'll touch on this Warriors-Lakers game. And then, okay. Oh, yeah, chat's live. Chat's live. Let me read this chat. I'm missing comments. The Jaron said KD, CP, and Book ain't enough to win. You're probably right. You're probably right, Jaron. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The depth, it's like, the depth. Ayton's in there too. Can't forget about Ayton, but yeah. Kid said Lucas Schooled in Book time. Him and Book and talking smack to KD come along. Yeah. What's up, Fable? Suns bench is inconsistent to take them far. Yeah, Mark, that's how I'm looking at it too. Although, if KD and Book, they could carry though, Mark. They could carry. That's how special of players those guys are. The Warriors need to play D from the get-go. Letting teams like the Lakers hang around is hurting them. Absolutely. They've been making a thing of coming from behind, and they even did it today. They were down big, came roaring back, took the lead, but ultimately they were shooting it pretty well from three. It was within the 3-point line. They had shot a poor percentage on 2-point field goals. And really the defense, I know the zone, like the box and one, really contained Damian Lillard when we played Portland earlier on in the week. The box and one worked phenomenal. Tonight, the zone was getting torn apart. Troy Brown, there was a bunch of open shooters knocking down threes. And I noticed it was when the Warriors were playing the zone predominantly. So I understand why you mix in some zone because it has worked. But tonight or today was not the day zone was working. Steph Curry obviously made his return after his absence with the knee injury, and he looked good. 5 of 13 from 3-point range, 8 of 20 from the field, 27 points. Klay Thompson was pretty good, 22 points, 8 of 18, 4 of 10 from 3. And then after that, Draymond was good. He had a good offensive game for Draymond, 15 points, 8 boards, but only 11 points from DiVincenzo. Jordan Poole, a disappointing 10 points, 3 of 11, from the field. You need more from Jordan Poole. Anthony Lamb, 6 points. I want more from Anthony Lamb. I got higher expectations from Lamb than I think a lot of other people. Iguodala was out there. He was a plus 11, but he had 0 points. That's where the plus minus can be pretty misleading to me because I did not think Iguodala was very good in this game, but he was a plus 11 if you want to look at the box score. So it's one of those things where, plus minus, it's kind of a finicky statistic, in my opinion. Not Kuminga's best game today, 2 of 10 from the field. Talking plus minus, he was a minus 15. Ooh, Kevon Looney was a minus 26 today. Yikes. So, Warriors lost. They got outplayed, but they got to move on. Every game is under a magnifying glass right now. The Western Conference standings are so tight. Right now, they're in the 5 spot. They would be looking at a Phoenix Suns Golden State Warriors matchup at the 4-5. Whoa. Get your popcorn ready. Okay. I'm going to hit these comments, but first, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Maybe someone wants to hop in and talk some ball. Yeah. If you got questions in the chat, drop them in now because I'm going to start going down some comments. Thoughts on Jock Peterson at first base? What's up, MF? Thanks for stopping by. I like it. Anytime you're adding versatility as a player, it's a plus. And let me tell you something, MF, that you might not be aware of. But I played some baseball with Jock Peterson, and this was when we were kids. This was at Star Maker Baseball Academy. We were centered out of Woodside, kind of in the South Bay. Had a lot of kids who went to Sarah and whatnot. Really talented baseball organization back in the day. And Jock was a year younger than me. But there was a tournament where, they needed a player, so I played down for one game, and Jock was my catcher. Jock was a left-handed catcher. I want to say he was 11 and I was 12. Left-handed catcher, so I know he's got some versatility in there. Nowadays, as an adult, you would never see a left-handed catcher, but as a kid, you do stuff like that. Jock, he's from a baseball family. The dad played some pro ball. His older brother, Jock's older brother, Tiger, he was a coach, I want to say, in the Cardinals baseball organization somewhere. He's coaching. So it's that's a baseball family. And Jock he could play first base. I'll tell you that. I think he can figure it out. Give him some reps. And as I said, he played catcher as a kid. Jock could absolutely play first base, and it would provide a nice left-handed bat from that perspective. And just adding versatility is always a good thing. Low the Truth. Hey, Low the Truth is with me on Yannick Ngakoue. If I'm not mistaken, he was hollering at me in the chat and he was like, hey, what about Yannick? And I was like, yes, Yannick would be sweet opposite Bosa. He says the Warriors need a legit rim protector. I talked about this with Larry. Warriors are 28th in the NBA in block shots. 28. There's only 30 teams. So there's not much rim protection. But here's the thing, Lola. It's too late to add anybody now, man. Nerlens Noel might have been their one shot, but if whoever they sign now can't even play in the playoffs. So that ship has sailed. Yeah. Yo, what's up, CG? Predictions for Niners free agency. Okay, let's do it, MF. And I got a little graphic I can put up here. Yeah. Oh, my bad. That's the wrong graphic. That's Eric Armstead. Here it is. Okay. MF said predictions for Niners free agency. Jimmy Ward, he wants to go back to safety. I would love to have Jimmy Ward back, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Jimmy Ward's gone. And that's because I think they are going to prioritize Emmanuel Mosley. I don't know. You can bring back both Emmanuel Mosley and Jimmy Ward. And the Niners might lean with the youth and just with the sticky coverage that Emmanuel Mosley can provide. Jimmy Ward, well, he's good in coverage. He's a better run defender. He's really good. Last year he played in the slot. And the Niners, their defense, structurally, they ask a lot of their slot defenders. Even back when it was K1 in terms of blitzing, being good in the run fits. And Jimmy Ward was really good at that. Niners would love to have him back and pay him as one of the top nickelbacks, but Jimmy Ward wants that safety money. So I'm thinking the Niners are going to prioritize Emmanuel Mosley, and Jimmy Ward's going to get away. Samson Ebukam, as I spoke about earlier, could be commanding over $10 million annually. And I don't think that is something the Niners can afford. So I think Samson Ebukam gets away. Well, I mean, they probably could pay it, but to be honest, I think the money's spent better elsewhere. Like Ebukam's a good player, but I'm looking to upgrade, as I spoke about earlier. McGlinchey, now right tackle, might be hard to upgrade there. Okay, I know McGlinchey, everyone likes to hate on Big Mike. Really good run blocker, not so good of a pass blocker, if we're going to be honest, right? Colton McKivitz sounds like that would be the favorite if the 49ers were to keep it in-house. Jalen Moore. I feel like we haven't quite seen enough from Jalen Moore, right? To know if he's the answer at right tackle. I've heard some talk about Burford. Could you shift Burford out there? Let's talk about Burford, the rookie. He's not a free agent, but just the rookie right guard. I thought he was pretty good this year. I know J.J. Watt kind of made him look foolish on a couple plays. But I thought Spencer Burford was pretty good at right guard. So I feel like you might want to just keep him there just to kind of hone in on that one position. But if they think he can make the switch or that it might benefit him in some way, try him out. I know he played right tackle in college, so. But continuing with the Niners free agency, sounds like Robbie Gould's gone. Jake Brendel, I think you would want to keep Jake Brendel around. Obviously he's worked with Chris Forster in Miami. Chris Forster's with the Niners as an offensive line coach. I would bring Brendel back. Mark says, "What's your beer of choice?" I really like the Mexican beers, Mark. The Coronas, the Modelos, but probably my number one right now are the 805s. I've been drinking these 805s. Brunskill. I would like to bring Brunskill back just as a cheap kind of versatile. You could be the sixth backup at all offensive line positions, obviously for the right price. And then Tayshaun Gibson. Earlier, I said I think Jimmy Ward is gone. So that would mean I'm thinking Gibson's coming back. A few other names here. Hassan Ridgeway. Maybe you bring him back. He was hurt a lot of the year, but I thought he looked solid early on in the season. Kerry Hyder maybe as a camp body. And then you got every tight end's favorite law firm, Croft and Dwelly. And I'm looking to upgrade the tight end too. And I know a lot of fans are. Supposedly this is a pretty good tight end draft class. I haven't dug into the tight ends as of yet. Right now I really watched a bunch of defensive tackles. I got a list of D tackles I can give you. But back to the tight end position. Niners should upgrade tight end too, man. Whether it's someone who's like a really physical blocker or like a legitimate like move tight end, almost what they experimented with Jordan Reed that one season. And I liked that idea. And I want to go back to it. Not with like a aging 30-year-old with a concussion history, but let's get a talented move tight end in there. Any other free agents worth touching on? No. I mean, I think Aziz Al-Shaair, I think he's gone. He'll be missed. Aziz is a big-time player, man. He's really good. To have him as a third linebacker just meant the 49ers had an embarrassment of riches. Aziz Al-Shaair should be a number one linebacker on one of these teams. If I had to guess, one of these former Niner coaches are snagging Aziz Al-Shaair because they know how good of a player he is. Whether it's Robert Saleh in New York, D'Amico going to Houston, could easily pluck Al-Shaair. Or I wouldn't be surprised if McDaniel in Miami, we know he's an offensive coach, but he knows about Aziz Al-Shaair. If he, said, hey, Aziz is a good player, let's get him in a Dolphins uniform. That's my guess. Oh, dare I say? I was going to say the Seahawks. They do have Jordan Brooks, but you just know how the Seahawks love plucking our guys away. Roberto, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, let's change this banner. Here he is, Trey Lance. I want to see some Lance, man. Let me know. You guys want to see Trey Lance, or are you guys already ready to move on? Let me know in the chat. Oh, he's the man. He's the man, Jaguayo. Thanks for stopping by, Jaguayo. He said, what up, baller? If you're GM, 5 moves to get past the Eagles. Signed Yannick Ngakoue. All right. Shout out to Lotha. 49ers need that another premium edge rusher opposite Bosa. Just to add to the heat on the quarterbacks. Yannick Ngakoue. Okay. Draft. Hold on, let me get my my defensive tackle list out. Draft Jalen Redmond out of Oklahoma. What do I like about Jalen Redmond? He can get skinny through the hole for a big guy. We're talking he's 6'3", 298 pounds, but he's getting skinny to get to the quarterback. All right. He's a good athlete for being such a big guy. He had 4 sacks last year, 11 tackles for loss. That's good production in college. He also had 6.5 sacks as a freshman. So as an interior rusher, Jalen Redmond can get after the quarterback. So that's one of my moves. I'm drafting Jalen Redmond. I'm bringing back Emmanuel Mosley, right? I'll make that my third move because Emmanuel Mosley, what I would do schematically, I'm kicking him outside. That's shifting Diamador Lenore to the slot. Diamador Lenore, I feel like profiles as a slot guy. He's also really physical. That's the thing with the Niners corners, and I've talked about it on my channel. I don't mean to be redundant, but they're good in coverage, but they're so good against the run. Like some of these teams, I don't think you guys are aware, but their cornerbacks are allergic to tackling. Like they just don't want to get involved, right? But the Niners corners, Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley when he's healthy, Diamador Lenore, Jimmy Ward when he's playing in the slot, these corners will tackle. So Jaguayo, I want to bring back Emmanuel Mosley. See, I need 2 more moves to get the Niners over the hump. Let's see. I'm packaging 2 of the late third round picks we have, and I'm moving up to that'll probably get you somewhere, maybe a late 2, maybe a late 2 or like a super early third, 2/3 to move up. Then I'm drafting the right tackle. Whoever they like at the top of their right tackle board, I'm moving up to get a right tackle because I believe in protecting the quarterback. It's like, okay, if Mike McGlinchey's gone, I'm cool with it, but I want to upgrade it. Let's try to get better. I don't want to just take a step back because I do think Colton McKivitz would be a step back, at least in some capacity. I don't think he's a scrub, but I think McKivitz is more of like a swing tackle, in a pinch. If you need someone has an ankle sprain, you get by 2-3 weeks with McKivitz, okay. So that'd be another move I'm doing, Jaguayo. And then I'm looking at the interior now, Jaguayo. We drafted Jalen Redmond, but Niners they need more D-line help, right? The only defensive ends on the roster right now, literally, the only Niners under contract at the defensive end position, Nick Bosa, Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson, while I did like the pick, he couldn't get on the field last year. And if the Niners thought he could make an impact, he would be out there playing. So that's where I'm not pushing the panic button. Drake Jackson's got some talent. He's got some bend. But the Niners need help on the D-line. So I'm addressing that with a lot of my 5 moves. And I'm getting a right tackle. So I'm going after the trenches, Jaguayo. Let's get back to these comments. Yeah, Fable said, please don't let Aziz go to Seattle. I know. I shouldn't have put that in the air. They got Jordan Brooks, who's a pretty good linebacker. If they don't fix the right side of the O-line, it won't matter who's getting sacked at quarterback. I hear you, Roberto. I hear you. I'm with it. That's why I want to package 2 of my third-round picks. Go move up and get a tackle you really like. Yeah, Rams would love Aziz. Well, they're saying bye to Bobby Wagner. They've agreed to mutually part ways. Okay, Fable's ready for Lance season. Yeah, I feel you, Fable. I want to see Lance play. Let's see him get 3-4 games. That's why I feel like it's kind of setting up maybe for that to happen with Purdy's injury. Is he going to be ready week 1? And I don't want to rush Purdy back immediately. So it might just kind of set himself up for Trey Lance to get his shot. Give him 3-4 games. See how he plays. Let's find out what the kid's made of. And let's kind of scale back on the running. I want the kid to last. Let's see what if he can't make the throws. Let's see it, Kyle. Call him up And if he's passing up open receivers, then we'll know. If he's airmailing passes and he's sailing over to open receivers, then Kyle will know and will understand. Hey, it's Brock Purdy's show. Okay, Purdy's good. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Purdy is good. I want to find out if Trey Lance could be great. Just want to find out. If it's bad, if it looks bad, okay, then we saw it. But it needs to be at least like 3-4 games. And then you're saying, okay, Ball, you're going to give Lance 3 or 4 games. Like that's well, as it's been talked about, the Niners are a win now team. We can't just tank a whole season and give Trey Lance 17 games. If it's looking bad after 4 or 5, and Brock Purdy's ready after the injury, the elbow's feeling good. Niners are 2-3. Niners are 2-2, but the offense just doesn't look that good. And Trey's missing throws. Okay, then I get it. It's Brock season, so I'll support that. But it's like I want to see what we got in Trey Lance. Okay, I'm all in on Brock. I like Brock, MF. He's good. I mean, he's super quick. He's mobile. He can extend the plays. He throws with some anticipation. I think that's one thing we can see even more from Brock, even more anticipatory throws, like the play he got injured on. Hassan Reddick nearly ripped his elbow off. I feel like if he could have anticipated Ayuk getting open just that tick earlier, and that ball's out, maybe the injury doesn't happen, but he kind of waited to see Ayuk open. And that's when he cut it. And by that time, Reddick was all again. Brock Purdy's a rookie. He's going to continue to get better, but it feels like there's a little bit of a ceiling limit on Purdy. He's good. I want to see if Lance has the ability to be great. Yannick and Saunders, yeah. I know Kruger's been talking up Saunders from Kansas City. So, I'm with you there. Roberto says, I'm all in on whichever quarterback is behind center game 1. Me too, Roberto. That's facts. Mark took it right out of my mouth. I want to see Trey, and don't run him unless the play breaks down. Yeah, Mark, because when you're a quarterback, like if you decide to scramble, it's because you see an open lane or nothing's there. But when it's a designed run, I mean that's your coach putting you in harm's way. So I agree with you there. You want to see Lance scrambling where he can just see the open lanes. It feels like it's a lot safer for Trey Lance. McKivitz is a good guy. He is a good guy, and he's not a bad player. I just think he's more of a swing tackle. I don't think the Niners should be going in thinking, hey, McGlinchey leaving, no problem. We got Colton McKivitz. I don't know if that's the right move. I like Kruger's take on signing the kid that kicked in Carolina last year. Okay. Hey, if Krug has to get given the stamp of approval on him, then I'm with it. Jaguayo said, have you seen Felix and Dookie Uzama from K-State? I haven't, Jaguayo, but I'm going to write his name down right now. That way, next time you ask me, I'm going to say, yeah, I have seen Felix Undudaiki Uzama. Right on, Jaguayo. Roberto said, what do you think about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's big time. That's a really good safety. And he was also similar to Jimmy Ward. He had some slot duties for the Eagles this year. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and he would actually be an upgrade to Jimmy Ward. Both of them are good players, but I would give the edge to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And as I was speaking earlier, the goal of the offseason is to get better. You're looking at your team, you're looking at these positions saying, okay, how do we upgrade this position? And Chauncey, Roberto, that would absolutely be an upgrade on this defense. Whether it's, upgrade Tayshaun Gibson, I know what he had 5 picks. Tayshaun Gibson had a really good year. He was also exploited in coverage a few times. Like, he's an older cat, when you would see Gibson get matched up on a wide receiver at times. And it's just a mismatch. Like, it's a tough position that D'Amico put, but it's just how the defense works. Just within the rules, certain motions get safeties matched up on wide receivers. So now you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson there. That's an upgrade. So when we're looking at ways to upgrade, that's one way to do it, Roberto. Appreciate that super chat. Thoughts on Kyle running Lance in between the tackles? I'm not a fan of it, MF. I'm not a fan of it. Only in crucial situations. Like if it's, crunch time, fourth quarter, it's 3rd and 2, you need a first down, then I understand using the quarterback run, the QB power, because it gives you that extra blocker. But Kyle was just getting in the habit of just calling it just to call it, like just embracing all these hits. That's what I didn't like. So if it's strategic, I understand it. It gives you an extra blocker. It gives you the numbers advantage in the blocking game. But you got to use it sparingly, That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. Lance needs to become a scrambler to buy time for plays downfield. No designed runs. I don't want to say no designed runs, but it needs to be scaled back dramatically, Roberto, where it felt like Kyle had been calling, 6, 7, 8 designed runs per Lance start. I'm sure the statistics are out there. That's what it felt like. Let's get that back to, 2, 3 designed runs, only in crucial game situations. Strategic down and distances. Fable says, I have serious doubts that Purdy's going to be ready by week 1 at this point. It's already March. No surgery yet. Fable, I'm with you. There's some concern. That's like at the start, a month ago, I was saying, you know what? Niners they don't need another quarterback. They got Brock Purdy. They got Trey Lance. I'm starting to shift my mindset just with this looming question that is the Brock Purdy elbow injury. Now, if, like I talked about earlier, if Baker Mayfield's coming for cheap, if we can get him I'd be interested. At Baker Mayfield, something closer to the minimum. Oh, boy. What's up, Nick? And Nick, I want to know, how did you know Justinian Jessup was my guy? Want to know that, because I thought the lefty maybe could make a niche spot as a 3-point specialist in the NBA. We're talking former Warriors draft pick Justinian Jessup. I was watching him play in Australia. It looked pretty good. I will say, when he came over for Summer League, he was kind of hesitant. Like, he looked overmatched. I don't think he just had it athletically in the NBA. But how'd you know Jessup was my guy? He said Purdy has career game manager written all over him. Not a bad thing, but it's just another Jimmy G type. It's not a superstar top 5 the Niners want. Nick, speaking from the heart, and I feel it. Now, Purdy has career game manager written all. I think he's a little better than that. I think just if Jimmy's a game manager, Brock Purdy's a tier above Jimmy Garoppolo in my mind, Nick. I just think he has more of an it factor, more of a playmaking ability, more escapability. He's he's just more of a playmaker than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think he's got some extra. But I see where you're going with this, and that's why I said I want to see Lance get 3 or 4 starts because I want to find out if Lance can reach that potential that why he was picked with the 3rd pick of the draft. He's got all the tools. He's got a cannon. He is super smart. He is a good athlete. He's not a great athlete, but Lance is a good athlete. He's got the size, right? And I mean, that matters. Being able to rip one from the pocket over that. Oh, like sometimes Purdy, you feel like, can Purdy see everybody? Because he's kind of, he's got a 6'5" line in front of him. He's 6'1". So I see where you're going with that. I think Purdy's a little better than just a game manager, but I don't think he's guaranteed to be this superstar quarterback. And that's why part of me wants to see Trey Lance and what he's made of. Because I feel like he's good. Like we know he's good, but I want to strive for better, right? I'm looking, can Lance be great? Fable said, I think we saw the ceiling of Purdy. But he was I see where you're going with that, Fable, but it's like he was a rookie. So it's like, is that his ceiling? I think the anticipation could get better. There's some things that I think Brock Purdy could improve upon. And it was good. What we saw was really good. But if Purdy can get comfortable moving up in the pocket, his ceiling likely goes up. Yeah, that's something too. Learn to step up. We know he'd like to spin out, right? He liked to spin out and roll left. Kind of got him in some trouble a few times towards the end of the year. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. Yeah, Nick, we touched on this earlier. Ebukam may get 10 mil annually as a free agent. And I'm looking to upgrade it anyway, Nick. I'm not spending that on Ebukam. He's a good player, but I'm looking for ways to upgrade. And one spot is opposite Bosa. I feel like there needs to be Ebukam's good. I want to get better. So I'd like to spend that 10 mil elsewhere. Roberto says best case scenario, Trey balls out and Purdy gets healthy too. Let him battle it out in camp. I like that. What a great situation to be in. 2 good young prospects in the league, desperate for QBs. Roberto, I agree with you. That's why initially I was saying Niners don't need another quarterback. You got 2 youngsters who I like. But just with the uncertainty about the elbow, Purdy's elbow, I feel like you might want to bring in a vet. But a cheap vet. I'm not spending 10 mil on Marcus Mariota. No, I'm not. Steal Puna Ford from the Seahawks. DT Benton, Wisconsin. DT Benton. I told you I scouted the defensive tackle position, Jaguayo. So I should have notes on, yep, right here, Keanu Benton. I wrote down he's got powerful hands. He's got a nice club, nice swim move. Loses his leverage too often. Was one of the negatives. He's 6'4", 315. So when I saw the tape, he's kind of he's losing his leverage. He's not playing with that pad level all the time. I liked him. I like him. There's, I got him right around that 7 or 8 mark in terms of, my favorite defensive tackles in the draft. Keanu Benton. Yeah, it's a good name, Jaguayo. Puna Ford. I mean, yeah, we've seen him with Seattle. I don't remember him really wowing me, to be honest. Like, he's a solid player, I feel like. But, hey, 49ers could use a solid defensive tackle, someone who's not getting blown off the ball. Roberto said, we need Drake Jackson to blossom into a D Ford light opposite Bosa. I like the idea, Roberto. He's nowhere near as explosive as D Ford. And I know you're not comparing the players. You're just comparing just the impact that D Ford has. Drake Jackson, the fact that he couldn't get on the field was a little bit concerning to me, to be honest. You would love to have your second round pick, especially a position where they rotate so many guys, getting some reps out there. But, hey, I like Drake Jackson, the prospect. I like the draft pick. He's super bendy. I want to see him getting, I don't want to say he was in bad shape, but I want to see him come back next year and we're like, oh, Drake Jackson lived in the weight room in the off season. You know how every year there's like always a guy or two who gets talked about in training camp, like, hey, this dude's rocked up. I mean, I want that to be Drake Jackson. Come in stronger, get in the best shape of your life, and let's get to work. Let Chris Kosaric yell at your ass. MF says, is Kyle Harrison legit? Is Logan Webb an ace? Logan Webb's really freaking good. Yeah, Logan Webb, like, he's probably a low tier ace, I think. Like if he's your number 2, that's like a damn good number 2. Like if he's your ace, it's like, okay, that's a good pitcher, Logan Webb. Kyle Harrison, the dude's got all the tools. He's got the blazing fastball. I want to say he's got a nasty slide piece. The one thing I know about Kyle Harrison, MF, and this is the pitcher for the Giants we're talking about, fellas. He walks a lot of guys. Like the walks per 9. When I looked at it last year, I can't pull it off my memory. I want to say it might be like 3 or 4 walks per 9. It's a little too high. So while he's got the blazing fastball, he's got all the movement. You want to limit the walks because the walks can get you in trouble. And also, when you're an inaccurate pitcher, what does it lead to? It leads to a high pitch count, right? Now you're only going 4 innings because you threw 85 pitches, King's looking pretty good this year. Fox's Reels. Light the beam. This is like some real Sacktown Kings talk right here. I feel it, Roberto. I was talking some NBA earlier, and what I had said was the Kings are a good team. De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, the rookie Keegan Murray. You still got Harrison Barnes, even the white kid with the headband, Herter, solid. Malik Monk is a bucket. They got to prove it to me, Roberto. They got to prove it to me. I'll give them maybe like one playoff round win. I expect them to get out of the first round, but second round, I don't know who they're playing, obviously. I didn't bring my crystal ball with me today, but probably I'm thinking like round 2 exit for Sacramento. Okay, Nick said, I thought they had a marksman with Jessup. Me too. He said, where the F is Nico Mannion? Now I want Guy Santos to suit up next season. There's a lot there. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Jessup was going to have a niche role as a 3-point shooter, but it's not happening. Nico Mannion. Okay, let me tell you guys about the nickname that I had for Nico Mannion, and I was trying to pump it on Twitter. Did not catch on at all. No one ever called Nico Mannion this, but hear me out. Nico Mannion's nickname, Spicy Marinara. I thought it was a really good nickname. All right. Do I need to explain that? I shouldn't have to, but here I am explaining why Spicy Marinara is a good nickname for Nico Mannion. Okay. Obviously, he's Italian, right? When you got the marinara sauce, it's red. Nico Mannion, I mean, he's got the red locks. Like there was just so many reasons why he's kind of spicy because he's got some handle and he's got some dunking. Like he's sneaky athletic. Like he's spicy with the rock. Like it just made so much sense. Spicy Marinara. I'm not giving up on it. If he ever makes a return or where he's playing in Europe, Spicy Marinara, Nico Mannion. Just the red locks flowing. Now I want to see Guy Santos up next season. Guy Santos, he caught my eye during Summer League. This year, to be honest, I've checked out, when I'm watching the few G League games I have watched of the Santa Cruz Warriors, I'm more looking at like Pat Baldwin or when Ryan Rollins is playing. Like I tend to just watch like one or two players who, and it wasn't so much Gee. I'm not sure he's an NBA player, Nick. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. I like your optimism though, but I'm not sure Gee's quite NBA. The jumper, he needs the jumper. Jumper has to get like 35% plus from three. Jaron said Trey Area. Purdy had that Jimmy in 2017 vibe this year. I hope it's better than that, Fable, because that would mean, is there like a downturn coming? I hope not. Fable said, I'm hella excited about Santos. I think we got something there. Okay. I liked it in Summer League. Okay. All right. The Brazilian Doncic. I'm back on. I'm back on the Santos bandwagon now, Fable. Okay, you got me. Niners could have Maurice Hurst back next season on the cheap after his injury. They always get bodies for D-line. Nick, no. I'm sorry. No. I liked Maurice Hurst initially, like the first time we signed him coming from Oakland. One of the first videos I put out on this channel was when the Niners signed Arden Key and Maurice Hurst, and I was hyped up. And I was pumping up Arden Key, and Arden Key ended up being one of my favorite players that one season he played for the Niners. And I told everyone before the year how good Arden Key could be, and he definitely lived up to that potential. And I was intrigued about Mo Hurst. But even when we got him from the Raiders, he had ankle injuries. He had lower leg injuries. Then that year with the Niners, it was the same thing. Ankle went out. Now this past year, it was an ankle again. It's like, I'm done now, Nick. I'm done. Because it's been like 3 years in a row when he was with the Raiders, and then 2 years with the Niners, and he hasn't done anything. So I'm ready to move off. Give that camp body to someone else. Sorry, Mo Hurst. I wish you the best. I hope you heal up. You get a shot, but it's not going to be for the third season in a row with the Niners. Or at least that's not what I would do. Oakland is a quadruple A farm team. Yeah, it's pretty sad, Roberto. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Fable said, I can't watch baseball anymore. Manfred has killed it for me. I'll just follow my Giants in the box scores. Yeah, I feel you, Fable. I feel you. Yeah, and then when the playoffs roll around, you'll be locked in. I know. I'll get you. Have you touched on how the Grizzlies are imploding? Jaw issues, Dylan Brooks suspended a game, Clark torn Achilles. I did, Nick. We did I did the rundown, and that was one of the topics in my NBA segment. But I don't mind going over it again because I just love talking to the chat, and I appreciate the interaction. The chat is live tonight. Make sure you guys are subscribed. You hit the like button. But it sucks for Brandon Clark. That's my first thought. Brandon Clark, while I know the Warriors and the Grizzlies got this budding rivalry, I like watching Brandon Clark play. He's just super athletic, loves to dunk everything, just that undersized big that plays with a lot of energy, because that's how I played when back in the day when I was playing some ball, I was high energy. I loved hitting the glass. I loved flying high, dunking on everybody. Like, no, I'm just playing. I didn't do that. But no, Brandon Clark he's a fun player to watch, and it sucks that that's one of the toughest injuries, period. So that's not good for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, I mean, what's there to say? He's just seems like there had been a lot of just negative stuff coming out about Ja, right? Obviously, someone in his vehicle was shooting like pointing some kind of laser at some Indiana Pacers media or whatever it was. And then you had whatever kid or young man who was playing basketball at Ja Morant's house who got punched repeatedly in the head. That news report came out this week, and then now you got him flashing a gun. There's just been a lot of negative reports around Ja lately. I mean, and obviously we know how talented of a basketball player he is. He's one of the most athletic guards I've ever seen. Russell Westbrook, like prime young Russell Westbrook, did some crazy athletic stuff like that. But Ja Morant, he's an exciting player to watch. But you got to be a good person too, man. Felt like he was kind of going on a negative trajectory, and hopefully he'll get that corrected. It sounds like whatever statement he put out, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Why doesn't Shanahan go to the combine? That's a good question, MF. I mean, would you rather be in Indianapolis or would you rather be in Cabo? No, in all reality, I'm with you, because not only are you scouting the prospects at the combine, but there's every NFL team has representatives there, right? GMs, other coaches. So I feel like it could be advantageous to, get some scoops, build on some relationships because you never know, if you need to make a trade with one of these guys and you talked about it back in Indy and it kind of leads to something that could lead to a road you want to go down. So I'm with you. Yeah, he should be there. Fable, tell me that's not the most fire nickname. Spicy marinade. Yeah, it was a shame. I was trying to tweet it out. I was trying to get it to catch on. It didn't take off. DiVincenzo could get the spicy marinara name. Oh, dang. Dang. Should we try to make that swap? I don't know if I have the heart to do it with Devo. I feel like he's too established. I could be talked into it, though. Seems like Shanny is always rebuilding his coaching staff. He missed the combine last year, and we did. Okay. Roberto's got answers. I like that, Roberto. Thoughts on Anthony Richardson? Yeah, the dude is supremely gifted. He is one gifted dude. 4'4", crazy vertical, crazy broad jump. I would be taking Anthony Richardson. I would say anywhere between probably after pick 10. Somewhere after pick 10, he's fair game. I think the top 10 picks, there's some really talented dudes who just I feel like are can't miss guys who I would take within the top 10. But after that, you need a quarterback. Anthony Richardson, fine by me. I was watching some Anthony Richardson film today just to see what he did at Florida, kind of remind myself. Because during the college year, I watch so much football on Sundays that Saturdays is my family day, whereas hey, whatever we got to do as a family, whatever we want to do, let's do it Saturday because Sunday I'm watching a lot of football. So I'm catching up on Anthony Richardson film, and I like what I see. So anywhere after pick 10 in the first round, I'm all over him. It might take some time. But I like the tools. The dude's got a cannon. He's a spectacular runner. Super physically imposing, 6'4", strong build. Like what I see. Kings could legitimately catch Memphis for that 2 seed. Yeah. Yeah, they could. Opinion on Kalia Cansey pick and DJ Johnson, Oregon. Yeah, Kalia Cansey, that dude's big time. He is a game wrecker. Let me get to my Kalia Cansey notes right here. So he's a smaller guy. plays with a super high motor, is what I wrote down. And also, you can see his acceleration. As soon as that ball snapped, he's off the line of scrimmage. That's one of the things when I was watching all these defensive tackles, how's their get off? Some guys, when the ball snapped, there's some hesitation before they're getting off the line. They just don't have that innate ability to get that jump at the snap of the ball. Cleacancey gets the best jump from the interior that I've seen maybe since Aaron Donald. And shout out my boy KG. I remember I told one of my buddies, Kevin, that when I watched Aaron Donald tape at Pitt, this is before the draft. This is before Aaron Donald was a perennial All-Pro. I said, dude, this guy Aaron Donald is freaking big time. He's got all the moves as a pass rusher. His jump at the snap is big time. You see some of that with Cleacancey. So teams in the top 10, that's one of those players where talking about some can't miss guys, some impact players, immediate impact players. Cleacancey's that guy. And then DJ Johnson, I don't think he's on my list. Is he a D tackle, Jaguayo? I don't see him on my list. He might be like a D end kind of hybrid, but he wasn't on my list of interior tackles because I don't see DJ Johnson on my list. I evaluated 25 defensive linemen, but I will tell you, Jaguayo, about Jonah Tavai out of San Diego State. This dude, he's almost got that Solomon Thomas build, but I don't want you to forget I said Solomon Thomas. That's going to give some Niners fans PTSD. But he's super quick. He's 6 foot. When I say super quick, that's for a defensive tackle. Listen to his measurements. 6 foot, 290 pounds. So he's built like a rock. Like he has natural leverage. Okay. That's Jonah Tavai. He was ultra productive at San Diego State. He's got good hands. So he had 10.5 sacks. He just had a bunch of production, bunch of tackles for loss. So Jonah Tavai, monitor that name. The narrative is Memphis is next. Haha, their time may never even start. Yeah, Nick, I'm with you. Yeah, I think the Warriors definitely are more of NBA championship contenders than Memphis. I got to see it. I got to see it from Memphis. I got them kind of in that Kings category where it's like they're a good team. I'm not going to disrespect them. They're a good team, but come playoff time, they got to show me. Brandon Clark is one of the few likable guys on Memphis. I loathe most of the Grizzlies, but Clark isn't one of those people. Yeah, exactly, Fable. I'm with you. Yeah, I like Brandon Clark, and sucks, he tore his Achilles. Kings get that 2 seed, they would avoid Denver to the Western Conference Championship. I like their chances against anyone except Denver in the West. Roboito! Whoa. Okay, Roberto, I feel you. Showing Sacktown some love. Hey, if they represent the Western Conference, I'm going to say Roberto told me. I said, Baller, you should have believed Roberto. Is the Grizzlies dynasty already ending? Do you think we package some picks and move up in the second round? Jaguayo, yeah, that's what I recommended in your super chat. I was like, I think they should package some of their thirds, move up to get that right tackle. Whoever they like at right tackle, I haven't evaluated the offensive lineman yet. I'm going to try to get to him. I'm trying to hit on the Niners' needs when I'm looking at these draft prospects. So tackles, even with Trent's getting up there, we want him around. He's still really good, but maybe you should start kind of having some youngsters in the fold, which you could say, hey, they got Jalen Moore, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's wrap it up on these comments. If they move into the second, it's got to be right tackle. Okay, he's with me. It's just Brooks and Jackson. And yeah, for me, it's mostly Brooks. I can't stand Brooks. Can't stand him. Jackson, it feels like Draymond just punks Jaren Jackson every time they play. It's like Jaren Jackson fouls out, has like 9 points. That draw business is not. Someone needs to pull that man aside and see if he can be straightened out. I think that's what they're trying to do, Roberto. Montana. Thanks for coming by, Montana. No doubt. It's a pleasure having you in the chat. Thoughts on Mozzie Smith? Jaguayo. I speculated Niners could trade up for a right tackle. If they wanted to move up for a defensive tackle, this is the guy. If they wanted to move up for a defensive tackle, this is the guy. Mozzie Smith, 6'3", 337 pounds. Although that's not his combine measurements. That's just what PFF had him listed as. So check your combine measurement profile for the latest measurements on Mozzie. But he's a big boy. You don't need measurements to tell you that. Really good run stuffer, plays with power. I mean, Mozzie Smith, he's really good. Like after Jalen Carter, we know he's going through. There's a whole Jalen Carter situation going on, but Jalen Carter's like freaking big time, like top pick of the draft, worthy defensive tackle from Georgia. The guy, first thing I wrote down is Jalen Carter's an absolute monster. That's all you gotta need to know. Then after that, Mozzie Smith could make a case. Kalia Cansey, I probably got him number 2. Very different players. When you're looking at Kalia Cansey and then you're looking at Mozzie Smith, 2 completely different players. So I would go Jalen Carter, Kalia Cansey. Then I'd put Mozzie there. And then I like Brian Brisset or Breesy from Clemson. He's just plays the game like he's an NFL veteran already. Savvy moves, smart player. He's big. He wrote down he's slippery. Brian Brisset is just hard to block. We're talking defensive tackle from Clemson. And then the fifth, because to me, Jaguayo, there's like a clear top 5 at the defensive tackle position. Jalen Carter, Kalia Cansey, Mozzie Smith, Brian Brisset, and then I'm going Siaki Ika to round it out. Siaki Ika's out of Baylor, 6'4", 358. He's got these huge tree trunk legs. He's a guy who's built to take on double teams. Like we saw Kinlaw getting blown off the ball by the Eagles offensive lineman when they were double teaming him. He just couldn't hold up to it. I think a lot of that has to do with that knee injury and how he had to cut some weight, maybe to take some pressure off his knee. Ended up hurting him this past season because Kinlaw had a bad year. Sorry to say it. Don't come after me, Javon. But back to Siaki. He's just really good, takes on double teams. He's enormous, but he moves well for being such a big guy, right? So that's the clear top 5 when we're talking defensive tackles in this NFL draft. Can you trade comp picks, or do you have to keep those? You can trade comp picks. Yeah, they could trade them. Love the B-ball NFL chat baller. That's why you go, Roberto. Hey, that means a lot. I love talking ball, and that's why I started the channel, and I love how it's growing. The chat has been live because this is what I like to do. I like to talk ball, and I know there's a lot of Niners fans or just fans in general, NBA, NFL, that want to talk ball too. So that's what we do here on Bay Area Ballers channel. Great show, Baller. What's the schedule this week? Jaguayo, to be honest, I'm going to work on getting a more regular schedule. As you guys see, I got a little bit of a different background today. Kind of quartered off some space for Baller to get to work and put up my nice little, it's right here, my nice little 49ers sign that I've had in my closet for too long. I was like, hey, let's get this thing rolling. Let me corner it off, get the live stream going. So Jaguayo, I'm gonna pin down a more regular schedule. It's something that I'm gonna improve on. And when I got it, you'll know. I'll put out whether it's like a community message. But ideally, during the year, straight out of the Bay, we did it every week. Shout out to the Straight Out of the Bay crew. Celts Chronicles, Jay and the Bay, Amin the Dream. My Monday crew is great. So that's not going anywhere. So I'm thinking like Monday should be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I feel like might be the future, Jaguayo. Like that's kind of the target. And I know a lot of you guys have seen me on with Larry doing some post-game Warriors. Love that. So, but if I want to get a more regular schedule and I'm aiming, maybe it'll be something like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Jaguayo. Are you a boneless or bone-in guy? Montana, did you see me at Wingstop yesterday? You know I got Wingstop because I'm going mango habanero, and then I usually go lemon pepper. You get the 10 wings, 5 mango habanero, 5 lemon pepper. Always bone in. Always. Got to do it. And then you get the ranch on the side. Yeah. Some Wingstop's good. But I switched it up. I didn't go with the lemon pepper this time because I saw the new flavor. They brought it back. It was the hot honey. It was like a hot honey rub. It was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't hot. They should just take the hot off. Just call it a honey rub. But it was good. But bone in. Kinlaw experiment needs to be over. Niners need a mauler at nose tackle. The thing is, Roberto, that's what they thought they were getting when they drafted Javon Kinlaw. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted that big mauler that was just going to be pushing the pocket, moving guards back into the quarterback's lap. They need a plan B. Better yet, they need a plan A at the defensive tackle position. Yeah, just like I said, going through, I mentioned how I liked Jalen Redmond. Now, if you're looking for a Charles Omenihu replacement, someone who can play outside, like defensive end on rushing downs and then shift inside on passing downs, it would be Devon Stills out of West Virginia. I really liked Devon Stills. Excuse me, Dante Stills. Forgive me, Dante. But he had a lot of production at West Virginia in terms of tackles for loss. He's just a guy. He could play big end. You can shift him inside. He did both things at West Virginia. Really strong build. Dante Stills. Mark said, need more stuff on that wall. Okay, I'll give you a preview. This right here. I got this. Me and my wife went to Cancun. Down in Cancun, you're walking about. You find the Mayan masks, these wooden, this is some natural wood. And I remember I asked the guy from the store who I bought it from in Cancun, I asked him what kind of wood this was. And now I don't remember. So now I'm pissed off because I used to know what wood it was, but I don't. But this, I'm thinking like right there, something like that. How's that, Mark? Is that worthy? My Mayan mask from Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Roberto said, straight out of the Bay is must-see Niner TV. Everyone like and subscribe for great Niner content. Roberto, that's big time. I appreciate that. Montana said, I'm a boneless guy. Don't laugh. Hey, Montana, I ain't laughing. You do you. Whatever kind of chicken you want to eat, Montana, have at it. I won't judge you. My wife likes boneless too. Mark said, I like the Hawaiian flavored. I saw that because I was going through the flavors yesterday and Hawaiian, it was intriguing. It was like the first time I thought maybe I would go Hawaiian, but I ended up just going with the honey rub. Mark said, looks good. Okay. I got the approval on my Mexican Mayan mask to go up. I'll let my wife know. Mark said it looks good. It's getting approved of being mounted on the wall. So I got to buy it. What I did was there's a little hook on here. So I got to buy like a little hook mount, which I've already ordered. And that's how I'm going to get that one up. Berto said the mask is sick, bro. Okay, for sure. For sure. Hey, fellas, this chat was live. The stream was phenomenal. I had a blast. And I appreciate all you guys in the chat because the chat was live. Roberto said just had Jamaican jerk wings in Jamaica a couple weeks ago. No, that is the sheet. I like some Jamaican jerk wings, and I've only had them out in Berkeley. So getting them from the source, directly from the source in Jamaica, I imagine it was amazing, Roberto. I'm envious. I hope you had a great trip in Jamaica. Sounds like a blast. The Rey Mysterio mask. Rey Mysterio Jr. Might have to whip out a Nacho Libre mask too. How about that one, Montana? Hey, fellas, thank you guys for coming by. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. You never know when Baller's going to go live. I'd probably hit that bell too so you get the notification because, hey, it's about to be popping. And I'm going to start bringing on some more people. Baller's been going solo sometimes. Sometimes I got some guests. Love talking ball, especially with the chat. So thank you guys. You guys have a good night, and I'll talk to y'all soon.